In this video, we are going to walk our pattern to match up some notches and to create two new notches. The idea behind walking a pattern is that you have one pattern piece that moves relative to another that remains stationary. In this tutorial, I'm going to have the side panel be the walk panel and the center panel be the stationary piece. So the walk function is this function right here that looks like a big rectangle with a small rectangle right next door. Follow the prompts, and the first says to click on the point or segment, and that's going to be on your piece that's going to move. And then you're going to draw an arrow to connect it to the piece to which you're matching it as your stationary piece. Now, you can see that we have an outline of our walk piece on the side, and as I run my cursor up and down my stationary piece, my other piece follows. And a general walk is to make sure that line lengths match up. I can see that there's a little bit of a discrepancy at the top there. And so in a piece like this, we can actually use these notches to control how we sew. A little bit of extra length on a side curved piece like this is preferable. So I would like to first notch right where my other notch is located. And to do that, I'm going to run my cursor up until it matches the current notch location. And when I get right there, I can get nice and close. I'm going to right click to bring up a box that says add notch to the intersection. The piece that's moving is the walked pattern, and that's the one that needs to be notched. So I'm going to select that one. Okay. When I do that and I notch a piece, it finishes that function. It notches that piece, and then I can leave it as is to finish and press enter, or I can keep going. Because I want to match from the other direction, I'm done with this walk and I'm going to start again using the top points. So I'm going to press enter to complete my walk. You can see both of my pieces are now notched to match up, and my new walk is going to begin at the shoulder. So I'm going to click on this as my walk piece, click on this point as my stationary piece, and as I run my cursor down, I can see that they're not going to match up exactly where my initial notches were, and that's okay. Instead, I'm going to place another notch somewhere along the way, above the bust point, below the shoulder point. It actually doesn't matter too much, closer to the bust point though. And here I'm going to right click and bring up the option to notch both patterns. And this will place a notch directly across from each other at that same location. You can see there's a notch there, there's my notch there. I can continue to walk if I'd like, but I'm finished now with that function. So I'm going to press OK to be done. So now I know that I'm matching my sewing from shoulder to this point and matching my sewing from waist to this notch point. And then anything that happens in between here, you can see there's a small bit of discrepancy in the line lengths that will be eased in the sewing of that section. So if you were to sew this, you would have to do this in segments, in free sewing. And I would recommend actually doing this in sections so that this part can be done independently of the other two lines. Right now, because this started out as a dart, there are sewing lines established. So within your edit pattern tool, you can delete those and sew from the bottom. So segment sewing may work, but I think these are not segment, no, they are. So we can segment sew those, we know that those are identical. And you can segment sew these, and it will ease the difference there. Okay, and that's done.